Leave to introduce and I call on the Honourable Member for Garff, Mrs Caine.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I rise to correct what I feel is an anomaly in the legislation governing the process for removing a Chief Minister. I should emphasise that this is not in any way related to the present incumbent, but seeks to rectify an illogical inconsistency in the Council of Ministers Act. To be elected as Chief Minister, a member now requires a straight majority of 13 votes from members of the House of Keys. However, to be removed from office requires a 2/3 majority of 16 votes. I feel this is wrong. Surely, if the head of government has lost the confidence of a majority of honourable members, then by continuing in office, his or her government would lose all credibility. If members felt strongly about this, every government motion could be opposed by the 13, 14 or 15 members who voted against him or her. If the concern relates to the stability of our government, there are other ways that could be addressed. I looked at comparable jurisdictions, and once again I am grateful for the input of Professor Peter Edge from the School of Law, Oxford Brookes University, in the course of my research on this point. Overwhelmingly, a simple majority is enough to cause a head of government to resign. The only exception he is aware of is the Cayman Islands, where a 2/3 majority is required. This would seem similar to the Manx model, but it is not, because the Caymans, like pretty much everywhere else, do not have the departmental system of consensus government that we do. Professor Edge's comment to me was, if you combine a 2/3 majority with the very substantial involvement of MHKs in government, it looks like stability has trumped accountability too much. I would agree. Therefore, Mr Speaker, I am seeking the support of this Honourable House to bring forward a private member's bill to amend our legislation, requiring 16 members to support a vote of no confidence in Chief Minister and to make it 13 votes. I beg to move. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Ms Edge.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I beg to second and reserve my remarks.
Mr Thomas.
Thank you. I'll speak very briefly. I voted for this proposal in 2016, as Mr Speaker did at that point. Mr Speaker's words then were incredibly powerful, explaining exactly the point that Mrs Caine has made. So in other words, what the proposal before you today was proposed as an amendment to the Council of Ministers Act back in 2016, and I will be voting the same way again, and encourage honourable members to do likewise.
Mrs Caine to respond to the debate. Mrs Caine.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Not very much of a debate, actually. I'm grateful for Mr Thomas for urging members to support it. It would seem that members have already made up their minds. I would also urge members to support it. I believe this is a significant part that would support the Isle of Man in its aims to be open and accountable. And I think that any Chief Minister whose support dwindled to 13 or 14 members of this House would have a crippled government and no credibility. And in terms of the Isle of Man's international reputation, it would be very damaging. So, yes, please, I would urge everyone to support it so we could have this piece of legislation, a very simple clause to amend, come before us and have that debate. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
The question is that leave be given to introduce a private member's bill to amend Section 2(3)(b) of the Council of Ministers Act 1990 and for connected purposes. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it.